After an unusual winter severe weather event late last week, our attention now turns to early next week, where forecast models are showing a rapidly intensifying storm system developing along the East Coast. This setup has the potential to become a bomb cyclone, bringing strong winds, heavy precipitation, and possibly significant snowfall to parts of the Northeast, along with bone-chilling temperatures behind it, dipping well into the Deep South. In this update, we'll take a look at the latest model guidance, discuss forecast confidence, and break down which areas could see the greatest impacts. This is Weather Per Usual, and let's jump in. So as we see here, beginning Sunday, we see the mid-level trough digging into the mid-Atlantic, while surface low is beginning to develop across the south. As we move forward in time, the trough strengthens and helps that low deepen rapidly as it lifts northeast. The timing and exact location will be important with this system. I would expect winds approaching 50 miles an hour, with possible higher wind gusts along the immediate coastline and exposed coastal areas. According to the GFS, the storm really begins to intensify right over the northeast, and you can see these convective bands starting to wrap around the system as the low deepens. If this comes true, it could lead to prolonged periods of heavy precipitation, some areas potentially seeing intense snowfall for 8 to 12 hours. Now, if we look at some other models like the European model, just a day ago, the European model completely disagreed with the GFS and it had the storm system moving completely offshore. Now, the European is well more in line with the GFS and it's leading to significant snowfall as well. So now it's not a question of if, it's a question of how much and who is going to get the most amount of snow. So as we take a look at the European model forecast for snowfall, we notice that there's a large swath of 8 to 12 inches of snow across the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, with the highest amounts being found in Rhode Island. Unfortunately for Virginia, if you live there and you are expecting snow, you are not a friend of the European forecast, as only northern parts will see a couple inches of snow. As you will see, the European model is far more conservative than other models for the storm, and I believe that it is under forecasting the type of system that we are going to see. Now, turning our attention to the GFS snowfall output, we can clearly see a much more aggressive solution compared to the European model. Across much of Virginia, the GFS is showing significantly higher totals, with snowfall ranging anywhere from 4 inches in the southern areas to nearly a foot in parts of central and northern Virginia. That's a notable increase from what the European has been advertising, and it highlights just how sensitive this setup is to the storm track. As we move north, snowfall amounts really start to ramp up. Delaware is one of those areas that stand out on this run, with the GFS suggesting the potential for close to 3 feet of snow in some locations. That would be a high impact, potentially historic event if it were to come. Farther north into New York City metro area, the model is currently showing snow totals around 1 foot to 1.5 feet, which would be a major winter storm for the region. And across Rhode Island, the GFS continues to paint widespread heavy snow, with some areas approaching 2 to 3 feet. Now, it is important to stress that this is just one model solution, and there are several days out. Snowfall totals can range dramatically from run to run, especially with coastal systems like this. Small shifts east or west will determine who sees the heaviest snow, who mixes it with rain, and who ends up on the lighter side of this event. But what this does tell us is that there's a potential for a significant winter storm across parts of the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. If the GFS ends up being closer to reality, we could be looking at widespread heavy snow, strong winds, and difficult travel conditions. So while we're not locking in on anything just yet, this is definitely a setup that deserves close attention over the next couple days. Before we wrap things up, I want to share my personal take on this system. Based on the upper level pattern, the strength of the trough, and how consistently the GFS has been handling this setup, I'm leaning more towards a GFS solution right now. While there's still uncertainty in the exact placement and totals, I do think there's a chance the storm may end up being under forecasted in some areas, especially if the low deepens as aggressively as the GFS is suggesting. If that does happen, we could see stronger winds and heavier snowfall than what some current forecasts are calling for. That doesn't mean that this is locked in yet, but it does mean that this setup deserves some close attention over the next few days. As always, I'll continue tracking the data and bringing you updates as new information comes in. Until then, everyone stay weather aware, never be scared, but always be prepared. Thank you for learning weather with me, and feel free to like and subscribe for future updates. This is Weather Per Usual. Stay safe.